Todd, you leave for one game and the Broncos lose. I'm not letting you leave this building until the end of the season.
Yeah, I can't go any more trips. I think this is it, man. I got to stay locked in. I got to stay focused because I feel like they can hear me when I'm yelling at the screen. So maybe that's it. I gotta stay locked in. I got to stay focused so I can help my guys out.
But it's not your fault because it's actually the Broncos' fault because the Broncos took you away to do a really cool thing in Mexico.
Yeah, it was really cool. So I went out there for a flag football national championship for kids 10 to 12 years old. And it's really cool because there's 32 states in Mexico. So every state has a team that represents it. They had all won championships in their own states, and then they had all had a representative there at the national flag football tournament. It was a great tournament. NFL Mexico and the Broncos did a great job putting on a fantastic event. And the cool thing about it is the winner of the tournament gets to go to the Pro Bowl and is the Broncos representative, and they get to do a tournament there to see who is the best team. So every team will have a nation or a team represented there as well. So it's really cool. So
did you make sure you joined the winning team in order to make that trip to the Pro Bowl?
Actually, I was on the losing sideline of the two teams. It was co-ed, and there was this girl group that was just dominating. They had this two players that were like Deanna Flores, out there making so many plays, and I sided with them. They didn't end up winning, but the team that won, they got a quarterback that's really, really, really good. So
dang, man, you were just part of a lot of losing this weekend.
I know, that's what I said. So sadly, my son lost at Cherry Creek this weekend.
Oh, that's right.
My team lost in the finals in Mexico. The Broncos lost. I think this is just an off weekend. I can't take trips anymore, man.
Real quick on that Mexico flag football thing, the women Mexican team actually bet the U.S. team to win the gold in whatever major competition they had in flag football.
Wow. Yeah.
So Mexican women in flag football in Mexico are kind of elite, dude. They're really good.
No, it's a big deal out there. They take it very seriously. Actually, one of the coaches from the winning team is a member of the gold medalist Mexico women's flag football team, and it's a huge deal.
Dang. Well, we're happy to have you back. Henry Chisholm, Todd Davis, Zach Stevens rolling with you today on the first Losing Monday show that we've had in almost 2 months. That's how hot the Broncos were. The last time they lost was the middle of October. Unfortunately, we got to sit in it again today. Todd, your initial reaction to that game yesterday?
That I can't believe we still had a chance, even though we threw 2 interceptions in the game, a third, to end the game. But the defense did a good job of keeping us in the game. I mean, they only scored 16 points really on us. They had that one return that's not on the defense. So I think the defense played well.
Definitely.
And then we were still in this thing. We didn't have any turnovers. We gave up 3, and we still had a shot to win it in the end.
Yeah, and that was kind of my biggest takeaway from the game yesterday on the post-game show was, man, the Broncos' margin for error is actually still big, even when they're playing a winning team on the road in a really tight game. They still did so many things wrong. And one of the things that kind of we asked during this winning streak is it sustainable? Is the winning the turnover battle sustainable? And then if they don't win the turnover battle, can they still win games? They were 8 yards out from winning the game yesterday, losing the turnover battle 3-0. So in a way, when it really stinks, and that loss might come to haunt them in the playoff picture at the end. I know it really hurt in the moment, but man, when you take a step back, it's like, damn, in this loss, you can actually feel good about the future of this team.
Yeah, for sure. And it feels like, you want to call it the football gods, I don't know what you want to say, but everything is set up for the Broncos to win, whether it's them playing backup quarterbacks, third-string quarterbacks, or they go play the Texans and Tank Dell's out after the first or second drive. It's being positioned for the Broncos to do really well. So hopefully that continues so they can find more success, Yeah. They're still in the hunt, man. We're not out. It's not a 0% chance. So we still got to keep the faith.
What they've got to do is beat the Chargers twice Chargers look bad. They've got to beat the Patriots. Patriots are bad.
Yep.
And they've got to beat the Raiders in the last game of the season. That's doable. And they can lose that Lions game and they're good to go. Or they just beat the Lions and flip one of the others. But that's not... You're asking a lot when you say you need 4 or 5 games, but you have to like how it lines up.
Yeah.
In the Broncos 5-game, actually in the past 6 games, including yesterday, the Broncos, as it stands right now, they've only played teams with winning records. Because the Packers won last night. You
Yep.
want to take your victory lap, Henry?
Yeah, I should probably do that. You guys were laughing at me last week.
We were.
Yeah. And
it's-
the refs, they said, man, we need to help Henry out. Just,
Oh, boy.
You know, my dad likes to say, even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah, well, and now what? I think Matt LaFleur's 16-0 at Lambeau in December.
Yeah.
They don't lose there. Throw it on Sunday Night Football. There was a lock all the way.
Lock all the way, just like you had the Broncos winning in a 3 possession game, right?
So I actually hedged that one by in our pick'em.
No.
I have the Broncos going 1-2 on this kind of like 3-game road trip. So we'll see how it goes.
You also had the Broncos covering
1 and 2.
3.5 in our pick'em too, though. So you
What'd you have?
Didn't really. Well, we all picked that.
There
too.
we go.
Yeah. I'm just pointing out that a broken clock is right. Yeah,
Okay.
twice a day.
Okay.
I like that, Todd. Henry,
I made my money.
After you've watched this game or sat on it for 12 hours,
Yeah.
how you feeling?
I mean, it's like there's 2 halves of it. One half is like, I think I might feel better about the team even than I did coming into this game. I think there's at least like a case to be made in terms of like whether they're going to make the playoffs this year. Obviously not feeling good at all. Like that was a game that you really wanted to have. But you look back, I mean, it's just a few plays that really are the difference. I mean, that defense had a really, really, really good game except for a couple busted coverages. You know, you give up the 2 deep balls, and because of that, there's just some easy points that you give up. You know, you have the Alex's penalty. You know, there's 4 points that you put up right there. You just have like those few plays. You look at what they did in the second half. Texans didn't get anything going. And if you just didn't bust those couple of coverages, I think you could be looking back at this game saying like, wow, you just held that awesome offense to 10 points. Now, obviously, they didn't do that. And it's the same thing on offense. Like, I think they came out. I think Sean called a pretty great game. I think that you look at the ball that hit Courtland Sutton in the hands on the first drive and think like, well, wow, if you would have just gotten the ball across the 50 on that play, that's a game changer. You look at the next drive where going back, you know, it's kind of tough to see for me on this TV because I have bad eyes. Going back and watching, they should have called pass interference on that ball to Marvin Mims on the second drive. There's another one where all of a sudden you're way down the field. And if you all of a sudden have sparks on those first 2 drives, I mean, they were moving the ball the rest of the half. They found moments. And you see like the mistakes in there, but you also see that, you know, just that handful of plays that they didn't need to get all of them. But if they had just gotten 1 or 2 of them, it would have totally changed the game.
It's like you're trying to drive me nuts, Henry. You know how much I hate every football. 95% of football games come down to a few plays.
Yeah.
And so it just drives me nuts when you say that because that's how 95% of games are. And it was on defense, those few big plays in the first half. But I'll tell you what, this defense played the way we've really seen them play outside of creating the turnovers. They played the same way in this past game that they did in the 5-game winning streak, where they give up some yards, they bend, but then they don't break, and specifically in the red zone, that's kind of what kept them in the game, was for the most part keeping them to field goals. And then in the second half, and you touched on this, Henry, the second half defense was incredible. Gave up less than 100 yards of defense in the second half after a disastrous first half in terms of yards. In my opinion, gave up 259 yards in the first half. They really clamped down and locked down on the Texans. And unfortunately, it was they gave up just too many plays, big plays in the first half. But man, the defense, when you take a step back, they actually played a pretty darn good game.
Yeah, they played pretty well. It's tough when you start playing the game of trying to say, well, if we just had this play here or that play here. Because honestly, the defense played well overall. But when I watch the film, like, there's a lot of guys open sometimes on this defense. And then there's plays like the pass to Beck that CJ Stroud threw that should have been an easy, fourth down or third down conversion for them, or the ball that goes right through the receiver's hands in the middle of the field. Like, I think that they had a lot of opportunities they missed as well. So I do not think we played well enough as a team to get this win.
Yeah. And I think I am getting even more concerned about this pass rush because you look back and see, like, what is this? 5 sacks?
Yeah.
5 sacks is pretty good. Alex Singleton got 1 on a blitz. PJ Locke got 1 on a blitz.
Yep.
Jaquan McMillan got 1 on a blitz. Zach Allen and Baron Browning split 1. You had Jonathan Harris get 1 up the middle, but you're still just not getting enough out of 4-man rushes. It's just not happening. And so you have 191 yards, I think it was, for Nico Collins. How many of those came after the play breaks down, but there's still no pass rushes?
Yep.
So he's just like, oh, look, space over there, and so there he goes off and running again. And it's just so tough to ask the defense to cover for that long. So they've got to. I think they found something in that second half when they did start blitzing more and they were able to get some pressure off of it. But they can't wait till the second half to start doing that again. Like that's just the only way you're going to get to the quarterback.
So I'm really curious where you guys side with the question in our headline of this podcast is it more on the offense or the defense that they lost this game? My guess is Todd's going to say it was more on the offense. What Henry just said, maybe he's going to put on the defense. I want to get your answer after I tell you about our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Henry, you mentioned you won some money on last night's game.
Oh, yeah.
By betting on the Packers money line. I give you props. That was a good plus 200, plus 210?
215.
Man, you can get that over at DraftKings Sportsbook tonight, guys. Who you taking? Jags playing the Burless Bengals, 10-point favorite going to Jacksonville.
I'll take the Jags, but I don't think they cover.
Okay.
10 points is a lot.
That is a lot. Yeah. I have them in like a round robin as like the last leg from this weekend. So it's just the money line, like minus 500. So it hits a bunch of other things. So I'm feeling pretty good about that.
As you should.
Yeah.
But that's not what I'm asking.
I know. It's that 10 points. I can't take the minus 10. I think Todd's right on that.
Okay. And I will. I'll take the 10. Man. Zach Taylor's going to have to come up with something with Jake Browning there at quarterback. So we'll see how tonight's game goes. You can get on those odds over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Want to get your DraftKings Sportsbook pick of the week as well, but you can bet on our pick of the week with bonus bets, because if you place a $5 bet on anything over at DraftKings Sportsbook, they're going to give you $200 in bonus bets instantly. So if any of our DraftKings pick of the week sounds interesting to you, place a $5 bet on anything, and you can use the $200 in bonus bets to follow up with us. So make sure to check out the App Store, download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now, and use that code DNVR at sign-up in order to get the $200 in bonus bets when you place a $5 bet. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE or 8-HOPE-N New York, or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, licensing partner Golden Nugget, Lake Charles, Louisiana. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. All right, before we go any further, DraftKings Sportsbook pick of the week. Where are you guys going? Henry?
I'm taking Montana to win the national championship. It's because they were such heavy favorites this week that their odds just didn't really change that much after they beat the hell out of Delaware. So yeah, that was my plan all night. I was like, okay, just gotta wait for this Packers money to hit, and I'm just gonna flip it right back over and put it on the. I think it's plus 400 over at DraftKings right now.
I don't know what national championship you're talking about, but I'm taking Alabama to win the national championship at plus 200. They're Michigan's slightly favored above them. That's so wrong. Alabama's just going to roll this all the way to the championship.
That's tough. I don't know. I feel like Alabama is one of the better teams. Did you guys like the way that the Final Four shook out, or how did you feel about that?
It's just dumb.
It was the only way that it could have gone. With Florida State. If Florida State hadn't lost their quarterback and they go undefeated, yeah. But the fact that the committee is, in the rules, supposed to take into account the team that it is right now,
yeah,
they don't have their starting quarterback. And so they don't have their starting quarterback. They throw for 55 passing yards in the ACC championship game. You can't tell me that team is better than Alabama, who whose quarterback has gone from rightfully so benched to now like the best quarterback in the country in terms of just a college quarterback, the way he's playing right now. Yeah,
But
they made the right choice.
I don't know. There's like 95% of me wants to say it's just dumb that it's a 4-team playoff, and I don't want to get caught up in the debates because it's just stupid that you're coming down to like
I'm
trying to
thrilled
figure
it's
out who
12
it
next
is.
year.
Yeah, exactly. And so I want that to be the only thing I say, but I do have to say that, Bama fans shouldn't be pointing out the backup quarterback thing after the whole Tua Tagovailoa national championship. Like, backup quarterbacks sometimes can be better. Like, I feel like if you win 13 games, like you should get your chance. But Bama
Henry,
had their chance.
They had their chance for the backup quarterback to show that he was the next
and he
Tua,
went and won a game.
And he went and threw 55 yards.
That's what they needed from him.
No, they needed more than that.
They won.
The only thing I didn't like Ohio State just got jumped by everybody. Like, they only had one loss, and it was to Michigan, who is now the number 1 team in the country. Other than that, they played phenomenal the entire year. If Alabama beats Georgia, okay, then they're both out. I don't think that they just put Alabama at 4 now.
But wait, you're saying that Ohio State deserves it for losing to the number 1 team in the country?
Yes.
Alabama just beat the number 1 team in the country for like the past 2 years.
But they've already lost to Texas.
Exactly.
But Texas is in.
Texas is in.
Yeah.
But I don't want to see that game again.
They were ranked above Alabama already. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like Bama should move ahead of Ohio State. I think that Georgia should come down under Bama, and then everybody should move up. I don't think that means that Alabama has to be in the 4.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel. I know Alabama's a good team.
They did it.
Like,
I know it's gonna make better games.
Yeah,
but
it will.
I would have liked to see Ohio State in the game.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
It's
All
just
right, let's
dumb.
go with my pick of the week. Mine is Travis Etienne, plus 400 first TD score. I think he'll be able to run all over the Bengals, even though they don't have Joe Burrow. He doesn't play defense, but nevertheless, I think the Jags have a pretty good rushing attack.
I need to make up a 70-point deficit in my fantasy league with Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne tonight, so
maybe
hopefully you're right.
There you go.
And I actually need Travis Etienne to stay away because I'm going up against Travis Etienne. It's a short, very close game.
What we need is 70 points from Trevor Lawrence.
Just need 10
and then
touchdowns.
There you go.
Yeah.
None of them to ETN for you and you're here to win, though.
Oh, wow, that's true.
A lot of people, absolutely, understandably so, hate Alabama, hate the big dogs. And one of the cool things, DraftKings Sportsbook, you can actually bet on one of these 4 teams to win it all or the field. So if you don't like Alabama, you want to cheer against them, minus 270. Or you hate cheaters, want to cheer against Michigan, you can cheer for the field to win minus 240 instead of Michigan. So you can get in on so many things over at DraftKings. And
shout out to our friends over at Breckenridge Distillery. If you want to enjoy some phenomenal bourbon while you're sitting back watching the college football playoffs or this next Broncos game, they are the go-to spot. They have vodka, Broncos Blizzards, Ricky Seltzers. They're the world's highest distillery. And the great thing about the Breckenridge Distillery is it has more than just award-winning spirits. You can eat at their award-winning restaurant, enjoy show-stopping cocktails, learn about their highly awarded spirits and an in-depth tasting, and get an inside look at their active, productive facility. So it's an amazing spot to go check out. Go check out our friends over at BreckenridgeDistillery.com.
Okay, so Todd, is it we have to put the headline of the pod saying Sean Payton or Vance Joseph because we're limited to a character limit. So essentially, it's not putting it on Sean or Vance. It's, do we blame the offense or the defense? Or if you want, you can throw special teams in there for this loss more.
This is a tough one because I think that both the offense and the defense shared in this loss. Like, if you look at the film, the O-line probably had one of their worst games in the last, 6 games.
Yeah, big time.
So that definitely played a part in us being able to have Russell Wilson protected. Russell Wilson missed a lot of open passes, underthrowing guys. The pass to Courtland that got picked off, not finding Jeudy wide open on the 4th and 1.
Yeah.
There's a lot of plays there. And then defense, the first half we didn't play well. Second half we came to play, but overall it wasn't a good performance. But if I can say the defense locked down the second half and the offense didn't do enough to score, it's probably the offense's fault that we didn't win this game.
Okay.
Yeah, it's probably the offense. It's just so tough because it's a team game, Like, there's just so much that goes into it. Like, you look through and, the offense was, I think, in general, putting the defense in better situations. The difference is that there were the couple, they gave the Texans the ball at the 40. They gave the Texans the ball at the Broncos 21. So you have those two. Oh, I guess there's the other one at midfield on that second drive. But then on the flip side, like, the Broncos defense never gave the Broncos offense the ball in like decent field position. It just didn't happen. And when you have that, like, it's tough to put the blame on one side or the other. Now, because it came down to like the defense at the end, like, or the offense at the end, because the defense was giving possessions, I guess I blame the offense. But you know, it's a team game, and it's tough to really to separate it. You know.
Yeah, to me, this is very easy to separate. The offense scored 17 points. How many games should you expect to win when you score 17 points? And if
last year we would have had pretty good.
At least it wasn't 16, right?
It was only one more, and that's my point here, is that 16 points is just this awful number in Broncos country. The Broncos scored one more point than that. And and I called the first half disastrous for the offense and the defense. Henry disagrees with me there because they were only down 10 points, but I thought it was about as bad a football as you could play on both sides of the ball. Yet the defense, as bad as it was in the first half, they held them to 13 points. 259 yards of offense should equate to like at least 21 points.
Yeah, for sure.
But they made the plays they had to keep it from being just awful. And so they kept them to 13 points in their worst half.
Yep.
And the Broncos only scored 3 points in their worst half, and that was too much to overcome. So 13 points in the bad half of football was a lot better than the 3 points that the offense scored. And the defense, at the end of the day, held them to 22 points, and this is a really good offense that they were going up against. And so to me, you don't even need to look further than 17 points and say, yep, that this game is on the offense. If you would have told me the defense holds the Texans to 22 points before the game, I would have taken it. Now, not like instantly ran away with it, but I would have been like 90% taking it. If you would have said the Broncos offense scored 17 points, I would have said, no way, they're going to lose this game.
I also think a big reason they only scored 22 points, though, is that the Texans just ran the ball so much in the second half. You know, the first half, they were finding things open downfield, but I mean, they were just sitting on a 13-point lead for so long that they were running the ball and running the ball and running the ball, and the Broncos stopped it pretty well, which is credit to them for stopping it. But I think if the Texans had felt like they needed to find ways to get to 30 points, 35 points, maybe it would have been a little bit different story. Maybe if they opened things up the way they had in the first half, it would have been a little bit different. The other thing with 17 points is, how often does a team not get the ball off a turnover? Like, usually at least once a game, you're getting the ball in plus position, and because of that, you get more points. And so while the 17 doesn't look good, if you'd gotten the a turnover or two, I think that easily could have been 24 or 28.
The defense has been bailing them out all game.
Definitely.
Like, they don't get a turnover one time. I think the offense
Definitely.
will be able to find a way to get some points.
Definitely.
More
But
than
I feel
17.
like
And if we are
17's a pretty normal amount of points for a team that doesn't get any help off of turnovers.
I don't think
No,
so.
I
You don't think so?
I don't think. Also, if you're going to mention turnovers, the Broncos offense had 3 turnovers.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You're not going to win games often turning the ball over 3 times. But to get even more specific, because after last night's game, I didn't feel like you could point to one person specifically and say that they costed the Broncos the game. After hearing Sean Payton talk after the game, and after talking to Sean Payton this morning in our second press conference following the game, boy, was I blown away how much I feel like he put this loss on Russell Wilson. Now, you're really never going to have a coach come out and directly say those things, but the vibe and from the many answers he gave, and Henry disagrees with me, we can break this down, but I really got the feeling that Sean just continuously pointed the finger at Russell Wilson, and I was surprised because I didn't feel that way after the game, but I feel like time and time again, he was pointing the finger at Russell Wilson, and it starts on the final play of the game. After the game, do you have the quote from Sean after the game? I'll let you pull that up, but when you're pulling that up, Sean talked about that final play after the game, and then today he talked about that final play and said on that final play, he was asked about the question was framed like this, which was extremely leading, and I thought Sean was going to blow up on the reporter for asking it this way, but he didn't. He said, Lucas Kroll, he's caught 0 career passes. Why is he the one being targeted on the final play? And Sean said, well, before I get into that, the wide receivers had to shift before the play, and they didn't. The ball was snapped before the shift was executed, and so pretty much what he said was everything was fucked up with that play before it even got going. And then he said, I guarantee, speaking about Lucas Kroll, he said, I guarantee you, and then went a different direction. I think he was going to say, I guarantee you Lucas Kroll was not the number one read on that play that I had designed for this moment. And so to me, and Todd, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but from an outside perspective, I have to imagine if a shift isn't executed before the ball is snapped, that's on the quarterback.
Absolutely. And it's a completely different formation now. Like, we're shifting to get into something different so that everybody can run the routes that they need to. If you stay in your initial formation, then all the routes completely change. The spacing completely changes. It's no longer the same play that Sean called, in the huddle. So 100% the quarterback. He's the one that dictates when the ball is snapped or not, when guys shift or not. I mean, if guys are going in motion, you'll see them get in their stance and they're looking at the quarterback the whole time because he's going to give the key to when we're moving, when we're shifting. So it's 100% on the quarterback.
And I was really critical on Sean on those final 3 plays before the interception that they didn't target Courtland Sutton once, who we know is their best player, specifically as a receiver in the red zone by far. He was a decoy looking like on that play, and I just blasted him after the game. How can you have Courtland Sutton be a decoy when you need him to score the most? And I think Sean, I owe him an apology now that he's told me the real reason of what happened there. I don't think that was supposed to be the case. Courtland might have been a decoy, but Courtland also might have said, wait, why are we snapping the ball right now? And stood there because he's like, I'm not supposed to be here right now. Do you have the quote from Sean after the game?
Yeah. Pulled it. There it is. He said, so he got asked about the interception. It says on the last intercepted pass and if there was a better strategy, which is a weird, I don't know how that question gets asked. But he says, well, look, obviously we want all 4 downs. I want to see the film, but certainly we felt like we were going to have, where the ball was relative to time, we're going to have 4 plays into the end zone. But there's not going to be a clean look if that's what you're looking for. You're going to have to make a play in these tight windows. We'll see the film.
To me, I hear that, and I hear Sean pointing to the quarterback, who happens to be Russell Wilson, multiple times on that by saying, look, we need to have 4 plays there. Well, he's pointing at Russell Wilson for not throwing the ball away and instead throwing an interception, in my viewpoint. And what was the other part of it? About having to make a play.
Yeah.
I think he's saying, look, I can't, when we have 8 yards to the end zone, I can't scheme open a wide open guy. Our guys are going to have to make a play. And there, it wasn't Lucas Kroll catching the ball over someone. It was Russell Wilson making a play, in my opinion. That's how I took Sean's answer.
Yeah, I agree. And even him saying it's going to be tight windows, like guys are going to be covered, but you have to make the right throw, I think is what he's saying. And we can't afford a turnover there. Windows are going to be tight, but you got to find a way to get our guys the ball and not give it up there.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I obviously think that Russell Wilson absolutely lost him the game. And I think that because of that, I thought Sean was kind of going easy on him recently because all of it just kind of facts. Like, he never said, like, I think he screwed up or he needs to do this differently. Even when he was asked about, like, Jeudy coming open on that 4th down when Russ ran, I didn't think that, like, he never said, like, oh, yeah, he should have thrown that ball to him. Like
I think that's rare, though.
He said,
I do, too. But that's why I didn't come into this thinking,
answer,
like, Sean was just roasting Russ, because I think he just said, yeah, he kind of lost the game, and I think that's what we all saw.
But he was asked about Jeudy's frustration, and the way I took it was an opportunity for Sean to say Jerry needs to keep his composure, and instead he defended Jerry and said Jerry always wants the ball. Even during our win streak, he wants to be involved in what we're doing on offense, and then said we had 3 or 4 of those opportunities. The way I heard that was we had 3 or 4 opportunities where a guy was wide open that we missed. And just off the top of my head, that one to Jerry on 4th down, Marvin Mims, yes, that was defensive pass interference, but Marvin Mims was like 5 or 7 yards wide open. Russ has to. That's got to be a touchdown. And then just to continue to go on this path of what Sean said today, he was asked what the issues were on offense. And one of the things Sean just kept coming back to was communication. And he said that was a big reason for the pass protection. He also blamed the right side of the offensive line. He didn't say McGlinchey, but he said the right side of the offensive line. So maybe you want to throw Quinn Miners in there as well, but definitely McGlinchey in there. So
I mean, we were talking about during that whole watch along. It was just every play, he's just getting pushed back. You just can't have that.
But then he also pointed to, just with the issues on offense, being communication. To me, without saying it, that is Sean pointing to the quarterback.
He's the leader. He's the one that's communicating, getting guys lined up. He's the one that's calling the play in the huddle. He's the one that makes the checks, makes the shifts, makes the adjustments.
Yeah.
If he's not helping guys get lined up, communication is going to be bad, and they're going to be off as a team.
Yeah, but he still never said, like, Russell needs to be better communicate. Like, I think
he
kind of
communicates.
Right,
exactly. But he kind of he throws that out there. But like, we all know, we all saw it. Like, we saw Russ screw up. He's just kind of telling the truth, answering questions. Like, I don't think he ever took an extra step to be like, Russ did this, Russ did that. I think they just kind of answered the questions honestly, and the honest truth is that Russ was not great. So if the
president comes out and says, take shelter because something's coming, does he have to tell you exactly what's coming? Do you know that you're in danger?
I mean, yeah, you know you're in danger.
Exactly. And that's the same thing with Sean said. He doesn't have to say Russ. He's the only one that's communicating. He's the only one he's the only one that's given the call and has to, communicate to the rest of the team. He's the only one that makes checks. He's the only one that maybe the center IDs a linebacker or something. But besides that, if there's a slide and protection that needs to happen, that's Russ making them checks.
Absolutely.
He's the only communicator. And Sean's not saying I'm not communicating well. I guarantee he's not saying it's not me.
Exactly.
And Sean actually took blame for one thing today in the game yesterday. It was the first play coming out of halftime. He said, we ran a naked boot and it turned into a negative play. That's on me. That was a bad play call. So he took he took blame for one thing.
Yeah.
But he didn't say the communication. I need to be better with that.
Yeah.
He said the communication, and I'm kind of with you, Todd. I think that's about as you rarely see a coach actually come out and then say, yep, that's on. All of this is on Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
He pretty much laid it out for us.
I don't know. But see, I don't come out of that thinking like Sean doesn't like Russ or Sean threw Russ under the bus. I think he just said what happened, and what he said was what we all saw, and that's that Russ wasn't good enough.
That's
fair.
I
don't think he took any extra steps or anything, you know?
And it's fair and we'll just have to agree to disagree on that.
Yeah.
We'll let everyone else make up their mind on how they feel on that. And again, I was just surprised at that and a little caught off guard, actually really caught off guard, because I felt like there was blame to go around everywhere yesterday. And just the feeling I got was, wow, he made a point to make sure it wasn't that. The one other thing that I really took away from Sean's presser this morning was on the Alex Singleton penalty. And before I tell you exactly what Sean Payton said, Todd, what did you think of that?
That's my guy, so it's tough. It was just a little bit unnecessary. It was a false start. You get to search your dominance, you know what I'm saying? Maybe not on that play, but kind of a little bit unnecessary, just a tiny bit.
It's that shove at the end.
Yeah.
It's just that little bit, because up until that point, everything's fine. There was the headbutt. I think the headbutt was mostly Stroud. There was a different angle where it looked like Alex kind of got into a little bit too, but Stroud mostly did that. You can talk there. You can talk as much as you want. Alex is good at talking. But it just, when you do that, it's just going to get called. That's just the world we live in, is especially against a quarterback, when you see the two hands on him, it's going to get called. You just can't do it.
Yeah, and just usually when it's most false starts, guys just kind of okay, go back and start over. Usually guys don't have much interactions with quarterback, tight end, whoever they're even going up against. The guys kind of just all right, next play.
At the same time, though, if you like what this defense is doing, they're going out there, they've established themselves as being really physical. They want to be intimidating. I think that they've looked like one of the best defenses in the NFL over the past month and a half now. I mean, sometimes that those guys talk. How often have we said you need Aqib Talib, you need dogs on the team, and part of being a dog is not being afraid to talk. So that just kind of comes with the territory. It just that the two hands at the end just can't have it.
I don't actually think it's two hands at the end. I think it's the situational awareness. You have to realize that if you do that on 2nd and 10 when the defense or when the offense has their ball at their own 20 and they get a first down, yeah, it sucks, but okay, now they're still at their own 35. They still have to go a long ways down the field before really capitalizing off of that penalty. But 4th and 2, and then it's going to be 4th and 7, and then when they were on the field trying to go for it on 4th, now they're kicking a field goal, but now you just gift them that automatic first down. So I think I do see what you're saying, and I agree with you about having that chippiness like your defense had in Super Bowl 50, Todd, but just a situational awareness. And Todd, I really wasn't trying to bait you into talking bad about your guy. I really wanted your opinion, because even in our comment section right now, some people are saying Alex can't do that. Some people are saying Stroud was the one that instigated it. It was a soft call. So there really was a debate going back and forth. Today, Sean made no question about it, how he felt.
Yeah.
He said, we let a rookie bait us into a personal foul. He didn't need to say rookie. He wanted to make it known just how pissed off he was, in my opinion, how pissed off he was that Singleton did that. And so he said, we let a rookie bait us. To me, that's just like Sean saying, like, man, I am so pissed off about that.
As he should be.
I think it's just like, the optics of the entire play. Like, if he did that after he had tackled him or like a live play, I don't think it's a problem. I just think it's the fact that like nothing else was happening. And all the refs and everybody's looking at this interaction like they're trying to protect quarterbacks. They baby these quarterbacks. Like they're looking for an opportunity to throw the flag, and there's literally nothing else going on the play. I think that's why it happened. Yeah,
and it's just the truth. Like, they let a rookie bait him into that. Like, and that it stings to be in that situation. Like, I think we've seen. It almost looked like CJ was talking again this morning. I know he had plenty to say about it last night, and he's all smug doing what he does. But I think he actually talked again about it this morning. And you give him that moment, and you don't want to give the rookie that moment.
What started it, though? Because I feel like there was a lot of energy for like. I don't know if he said something to him before the game, or if he said something like, because it seemed like a lot of energy for that specific play.
Do you think he was talking shit about Montana State before the game? CJ's like, Ohio State's better than Montana State?
I know I'm not
and
going
Alex
to.
is like, no, get out of here. I actually have those comments from CJ that I want to get to after I tell you about our friends over at Breckenridge Brewery. Todd, you've got an Ollie Pop on set. I thought you were just drinking a Breck Brew. I was like, damn, I love the way you're rolling. Coming back from Mexico and you're still on the grind. But if you want to get in with Breckenridge Brew, go to breckbrew.com. It's the official beer locator of the official beer of DNVR. Man, there were so many Breck Brews flown at this game. And if you want to get your hands on Funslinger, we had Funslinger towers rolling at the bar yesterday for only $20. That was a popular one. If you want to get in on Breckenridge Brew, go to breckbrew.com to find the nearest Breck Brew near you.
And also head on over and check out our friends.
Hero Bread, baby.
Hero Bread. Yeah, so I was doing the math. It's actually when an offense never gets the ball off a takeaway this season, they score 18.9. So that is more than the 17. So I was wrong. But Hero Bread is awesome. They have bread that's good for you. Everybody says bread's bad for you now, and Hero Bread's the answer to that. They've got like the bagels. They've got the English muffins. Did I say it wrong again?
No,
I really tried.
It was like
hard.
an in between.
I was actually proud.
In between.
See, I said it and I was like, oh, they're not laughing this, and then tortillas, we've heard good things about the tortillas. I saw another review come in say they're really good. So they have protein, they're low in carbs, they're low in calories, a bunch of like gluten-free stuff, and it's all just like the best thing for you. So if you're trying to lose weight or you're just like in good shape and don't want to blow it, Hero Bread is a great option for so many different people. Go check it out at hero.co, and if you use the code DNVR, you can get 10% off your first order.
Okay, so let's hop into the inside scoop.
Scoop it
After I tell you just exactly Alex Singer or what CJ Stroud said either this morning or last night after the game, and I want to know what you guys think of this. He said, I'm a man, and I'm not going to let someone just come push me, especially in my house. You're not going to just touch me after the whistle. You clearly hear it. I'm not mad at that dude, talking about Alex. He played hard. He maybe tried to, but I didn't like it, and I've got to control my composure. At the same time, I'm a man, but I've got to be calm in that moment and have composure. Time and time again, I keep getting hit. I keep getting my face mask pulled, all type of stuff. I'm not mad. I guess I've got to earn it because I'm a rookie or whatever. You ain't going to come hit me, and I'm going to tuck my tail. I'm not mad at that dude. I talked to him right after the game, and everything is all right. Henry, you're kind of just like, you just you're squirming when I'm reading
You
this.
can't let him have that.
What do you mean?
Like you can't let CJ Stroud again. It's exactly what Sean said. We let rookie bait us into a personal foul. Like you just, it's gotta just be painful to hear. Like he just gets to go up there and say like, I'm a man. Like you don't get to come up and talk shit to me. Like I'm not gonna back down. I know I've got to assert myself. Like he gets to play tough guy because he was the guy who didn't get the flag thrown, and it's just so dumb. And the whole thing is dumb. Like the fact that CJ Stroud can go in there and headbutt him, and it's the NFL, and we've heard it over and over and over again. You know, it's not the instigator, it's the guy who makes the second move, and you get two hands on him, it's just going to be a whistle, and it's dumb, and you wish that wasn't the case, but it's. You can't be surprised that flag is thrown either, and you give him that moment. It's obviously a big moment in the game. It's just you just can't afford that there.
Man, I might be in the wrong, but I'd love it if my quarterback was talking like that.
Oh, yeah.
And saying like,
Absolutely. But it's from a Broncos perspective to hear him saying that.
Sure.
Like that hurts.
When
like from your team, yeah, that's what you live for
I
is
see what
hearing
you're
that.
saying.
Absolutely. It's just from the other team to like, from a Broncos perspective, to give him that moment to stand up there and say,
I see.
I'm a man. Like you don't get to come in here. Like, oh my God, you gave that to him. You let him have that.
right.
Ugh.
Fair. All right. Speaking of men, let's turn over to Todd Davis. Give us the inside scoop, baby.
All right, let's scoop it up. All right, so this is first and 10, 12 minutes and 14 seconds on the clock. This was a big play that the Broncos gave up, and I think it's just a missed assignment here. I'm not sure what they're doing. It feels like they're running like a buzz concept, cover 3, where they have the nickel blitzing off this edge. But the problem I see is that both the linebackers buzz this direction. So Alex is going to play like a curl flat. Josie's going to play this hook. And this end also drops this way. So you can't have two guys playing curl flat. And the way that you guys usually scheme blitzes as a defense is easily you're going to have a safety insert to fill this hole that's being created, or you're going to have the defensive end, Baron Browning in this case, drop to fill a hole that's created. So that's not what happened on this play, and you'll see the result. You have a wide open Jordan on this play that goes for 27 yards, and you have 1, 2, 3 defenders, really 4, covering these 3. So we're completely misaligned on this assignment, and we don't execute well. And this is one of the plays that leads to them having a good first half that they do. This play goes for 27 yards, and these are just the kind of mistakes that the Broncos weren't making in their 5-game winning streak. They weren't having a lot of mental errors or missed assignments. Like there's nobody even close to this guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we gotta clean up stuff like this if we want to continue to get back onto a winning streak.
Yeah, that one was so tough because the Broncos are trying to be aggressive, and then it just blew up right in their face right away.
Yeah. I mean, I understand them blitzing J-Mac. He had a great blitz later on in the game, sack, fumble. But whoever this defensive end that was supposed to drop, I think it was the D end because of the way that everybody else was buzzing. We got to clean this up.
Great point.
All right, this next one. Last week, they were running the trap nonstop and then also running pullers off of it. Once again, this is another trap play by the Denver Broncos, and I think they just do such a good job of it. That's why they continue to run it. So the trap, if you can see, they're going to trap this inside guy right here, and it allows Javonte to get right up front. Garrett does a great job sealing his man. Lil Jordan does a great job with a block here, and Javonte finds the hole up the middle. It feels like the trap is becoming this is Javonte here. He's going to spread. It feels like the trap is becoming like our number one play.
Yeah.
A lot of teams don't run it. It's kind of like an old school football play at this point. But the guys do such a great job being able to just shield their guys. And for a defensive line, it's hard to combat it because you have to get a good jump off the line, and then you got to try and sweep underneath the guy that's coming to block you. Like it's a lot of thought, a lot of thinking that goes into, defending this play well, and the Broncos are doing a good job running it. So I think they should continue it. I mean, this play goes for almost 20 yards with the extra push at the end.
Yeah, I mean, and I've just learned so much from you about just how important traps is in this offense during the inside scoop throughout the weeks.
Yeah, they're doing good. They're doing good with it. Oh, this one is a play to Jerry Jeudy. We don't have the wide open, but they continue to run these deep crossers, and this was the 4th and 1 where you can't see it right here, but Jerry Jeudy is open from this point all the way to the end of the play, and Russ is sitting here, man. He's sitting here. I'm not sure what he's looking at. I know that, it's really like one read and then find the check down. He's not really going through a true progression, and I think that's part of the problem because we don't have the back end view, but if you guys are watching on TV, you guys saw how wide open Jerry Jeudy was, and it's tough to see plays like this. I was sitting with somebody watching the game, and they're like, why isn't Jerry Jeudy like a dominant receiver? And I'm like, it's plays like that. It's not necessarily Jerry not doing what he needs to do. They're not finding him on the plays that he could be really helpful to this offense.
Right, yeah, and they saw it. They showed it right after. Jerry was wide open. And a lot of people in the comment section right now are crushing Russ for being too timid and not throwing these. But as Henry's mentioned, it comes down to a couple of plays a game, and you're only going to have wide open guys once or twice a game. You have to capitalize on those. You have to hit Marvin Mims for a touchdown. You have to find Jerry Jeudy when he's wide open. And also,
Courtland needs to catch that ball on the first drive.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And it's the interesting thing is both Courtland and Jerry, like you said, they're running the crossers. They were both going deep, so it wasn't like just one of them was to be a decoy. No, the play was to actually. Everyone's focused on the short yardage on 4th and 1. This is to hit deep.
Exactly. So, that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure where he's looking because this should have been his first and second read, like hands down. You look to one, then you look to the other, and then if it's not there, then you take off and run. So, as you can see right here, I mean, you got one defender for 2 guys. He's going to follow Courtland to this half, and literally there's nobody waiting for Jerry on this half.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and he's throwing his hands up, and after the play, Jerry's like...
He was distraught, man.
Yeah, I was going to say, and understandably so, but he was not hiding how he felt. He knew that it was a touchdown off the board.
Yeah, it's tough. Hopefully we get it figured out. All right, this is my man J Mack continuing to do what he does best. We got a corner blitz that comes off the edge right here. This is a great disguise by Vance Joseph. You don't know who's rushing. You don't know who's dropping out in coverage, but they actually go to a zone in this play, and there's only 4 rushers. And you have 7 defenders versus 4 rushers, and we managed to get home. That's a great play by J Mack coming off the edge. He is screaming off this edge.
Man.
He can't be blocked. Look at this. They have, literally, they have 7 guys in the pocket, and J Mack wins his one-on-one, and that's all that matters. Really, PJ was winning his one-on-one too, so no matter what, I think it would have been a great play for the defense. But this is a great sack fumble here. We were so close to having this ball bounce our way. Jonathan Cooper, man, just fall on it.
I know.
You ain't got to scoop and score, man. Just fall on the ball. Great strip sack by J Mack. He continues to make plays and continues to be a spark for this defense, man. I know he gave a touchdown late in the game, but no matter what, he's continuing to make plays.
It is just wild for a slot corner, a nickel corner, whatever you want to call him, to be like the turnover machine on defense. And he's not just doing it interceptions, like to be forcing that. Todd, I have to imagine, especially as an inside linebacker, if you have a guy on the outside of you that brings this mentality, that's just got to be so beneficial. And you got to love being surrounded by that.
No, it's perfect. It sucks because that means I'm not blitzing. Like now if there's blitzes coming, it's probably going to him and I'll be in coverage. But we definitely love that mentality and love what he's bringing to the table. All right, this one right here is an out and up by Jerry Jeudy, which they do complete for 41 yards. But I think Russ is really taking too much time here. It's a great protection by the O-line. He has plenty of time. They're doing a great job blocking. But Jerry is open from like 2 seconds after this ball is snapped. Courtland runs a clear out. Jerry runs the out and up. So like Russ ends up hitting Jerry about right here. But Jerry is wide open right now. And I think there's tons of times where he's either staring down Jerry and afraid to throw the ball or not finding Jerry at all. But this guy's trying to run back and, retrace his steps because he knows he blew his coverage. But Jerry Jeudy is wide open for a long time within this play. They do connect. The O-line does a great job blocking. But I feel like it just takes so long for him to get the ball sometimes because Jerry Jeudy's wide open, man. And I won't stop saying it until they start using him correctly and finding ways to get him the ball.
Yeah, and man, one of the things that I was thinking back on that 4th and 1 play with Jerry being so wide open is you can live with Russ not hitting deep shots when he's throwing 1 touchdown, no picks, 2 touchdown, no picks. But when you're throwing 3 interceptions, and I know one of them was tipped and I know one of them was the last play of the game, but even if it's just one of those picks, it's so hard to live with when that's not also coming with the big plays.
Exactly.
And there's just such a small error for Russ in that department where man, if he just hits one of these big plays, even with the 3 interceptions, they're probably still winning the game.
Exactly. I think as a defender, when I make a bad play and they run for 40 yards, I'm like, okay, now I got to make a play that wins the game. Like, I got to force a fumble.
Yep.
The same thing is true for Russ. Like, okay, if you throw an interception, no big deal, but then we got to have, some deep passing attack, maybe 2 touchdowns to make up for that 1 pick, and he's not doing that just yet.
Yeah, and that reminds me, another linebacker, Alex Singleton, we talked about, the mistake he made. He played some great football outside
balling.
of that play. He had that sack.
Balling.
He was doing all sorts of stuff. Again, would you just say, I'll take the neutral instead? Maybe, but, he did that. He came back and made up for it.
And he played with his hair on
He did.
fire
Yeah, he was
yesterday.
balling yesterday. He was. All right, this is the last play I have. This is the interception by Russell Wilson. And this is a tough play, I can't lie, because the Texans do a great job of the skies right here. They have 2 safeties and 2 corners, but what's going to actually happen is this safety is going to come down and play the hook, and the corner is going to come back and play the deep half. So that's what Russ sees on this initial play. He thinks that the safety got juked by by Courtland Sutton, but he's going to take away this slant route. That's his responsibility. This corner actually has over-the-top coverage. So when Russell sees this safety bite, he thinks he has Courtland wide open in the middle of the field, and that's why he throws this ball. I get where he's going, but at the same time, I think you got to be able to read the defense as a whole, and he just didn't do a good job with it. And that's when you see the safety's down here because that's his job. He has the hook. Courtland's not wide open. Singletary has him over the top. It's not an open throw, and then that's what results in this being a turnover and him undercutting the route and having a pick. This is a great disguise by the Texans defense and great execution. I want to not fault Russ, but year 13, I don't know what it is for him now. He has to be able to recognize when the safety and the corner invert to create matchups like this.
It's also just a great play from that corner.
It is.
To be able to get that fast. Even on this last screenshot there, that is still some ground that you have to cover.
Yep.
There it looks like you lead that ball inside, there's just plenty of space,
Yeah.
And again, you need better from Russ there, but that is also just an insane play from that corner to get all the way back and not just break it up, but to pick it off.
Exactly.
Well, and I think all things can be true there, but one of the things I love about the inside scoop is I didn't know that. No one's talked about how this play was designed by the Texans and how Russ could have seen this coming, because everyone so far has just talked about how, including myself, just how great of a play it was by the corner, and it still was that. But I love seeing it this way to see how a veteran quarterback should have seen it or could have seen it.
Exactly. And maybe if he throws the ball in here, maybe it is completed to Courtland, and the corner's not able to recover. But nevertheless, it was a pick. Great play by him.
Yeah.
But you got to recognize them switching jobs.
Going back through it, just they had so many opportunities. They just didn't take advantage enough. And like you said, Houston blew those too. They had that ball to back where he could have just held on to it. But there's so many opportunities in a game where it came down to just the slimmest of margins. You got 4 plays from the 8-yard line to score a touchdown. That's a great situation to be in when you're playing a road game against a playoff team.
Yeah.
If you could tell Sean Payton Sunday morning, hey, you can either play out this game or we can give you 4 shots from the 8-yard line to get a touchdown and get the win. He's taking that every time. And to be in that situation, despite all these things that they screwed up over and over and over again, there's just so much to like. But I wrote in the story last night, it's not college football. It's the wins that matter. You either win or you lose. And these moral victories or whatever just don't count for anything here.
Yeah, and I love the inside scoop because it teaches me, brings me to school. And if you want a little further schooling, check out our friends over at MSU Denver, where they can help you, whether you want to continue your education, whether you want to start your education, whether you want to go to business, or so many different routes. They have over 90 majors, and you can also create your own. So really endless possibilities await you over at MSU Denver, where it's affordable. They build the schedule around your life. So if you're working, you can still go to school. If you want to be a full-time student, you can do that. You can learn all about it over at msudenver.edu. That's msudenver.edu. Check out everything they have, and they can make something right for you. So that's msudenver.edu.
Yeah, and also head on over to the DNVR locker and see what's there. We got the Merry Yolkmas new. For those of you who don't know what Yolkmas is, that was December 15th. It would have been like 2018 maybe, and that was back when the Nuggets had Yusuf Nurkic and Nikola Jokic, and they tried to like start them both, and then it just wasn't working because it's like two bigs in the modern NBA. And so Jokic went to the coaching staff and said, "Hey, I wanna come off the bench. Like this just doesn't work." And the coaches said, "Actually, because you said that, we're gonna make you the starter," and said Nurkic to the bench. And the rest is history. He's the best player in the NBA.
Yeah.
So we now have the Merry Yolkmas sweatshirt that you can go buy. It's awesome. There's a whole bunch of other cool Broncos gear out there too. But that's a good topical one because we're 11 days from Yolkmas.
I love it.
It's the biggest holiday in Nuggets Country, Nuggets Nation.
Yeah, Nuggets Nation. And they did a great job making it look like an ugly sweater.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're pushing it with that. Don't. I think that's fair, but I wouldn't let Dylan hit too much. I know.
Backhanded by Zach.
No, ugly sweaters are very much a category of clothes that
Christmas.
people look for.
I think it looks
Christmas
nice.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not disrespectful at all.
Okay.
No, there's tons of ugly sweater parties.
Yeah.
at Christmas
I'm
time.
gonna
pushing
Clip
it.
this and send it
Exactly.
to Eric real quick and see what he thinks.
I think he's gonna say thank you for the compliment, Zach. That's exactly what I was going for.
Okay.
You disagree? Pull it up, you hear? Pull it up, you hear? And we'll let the people decide. But let's hop into the questions. Speaking of the people, so before you do that, you hear? Can you pull up the super chats for us? We've got a super chat coming in from our guy Hayden. Says, why is the offensive line so inconsistent? I feel this L is on them. Also, why does Russ not look Jeudy's way? He was wide open on so many touchdowns yesterday.
Yeah, he must have said something bad about him. Maybe there's a little beef there.
Must every week.
Yeah, I don't know. But the O-line was pretty bad yesterday, and they hadn't been for a week. So
Yeah.
an off game for sure. I feel like they've been consistent for the last couple of games, but definitely wasn't their best night.
Well, and I also think the offensive line was still good run blocking, at least for the most part. I've still got to go back through, but I mean, we were looking at the trap runs; those are still working. It's just the pass protection that wasn't there. And I feel like the run blocking has been really good for a couple months now, for the most part. Whereas the pass protection has been what's kind of up and down. So I'm curious if they didn't help guys out a little bit because they thought like it's Jonathan Greenard on one side and Will Anderson, a rookie, on the other side. But yeah, it wasn't working there, and it looked like Bowles and McGlinchey both had tough games just from the first time through. But that is, you need better out of them, better than yesterday for sure.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it seems like yesterday's game was kind of a breakout game for Will Anderson.
Yep.
And again, makes sense. He's the first defensive player, first non-quarterback taken in a draft. But when you're paying a guy $17 million to be your right tackle, you would hope he'd be able to contain
Neutralize,
a
yeah.
little bit, at least a rookie. So, yeah, that one's tough and certainly needs to be better. Josh says, first super chat, love tuning in every day. What were your thoughts on the first 15 plays? Too aggressive with the shots to Sutton? Go Broncos. Yeah, Todd, what did you think of that? Starting the game with a deep shot to Sutton. It didn't work. Very next play, instead of going to the ground, which probably everyone thought they were going to be, they went back and did another deep shot to Sutton.
I like it. I think he is the best wide receiver on the team, and he needs to be more involved if we want to score more than 16 or 17 points. So I like it, and I think, like you said, teams weren't expecting it.
Yeah.
Got to catch the ball sometimes, but I think he does a great job. I think it was a good play.
Yeah, I really like the play calling early. I mean, and it worked, right? I mean, I guess that first deep shot up the sideline, Courtland was double covered.
Yeah.
Sometimes in those, you just wind up with a pass interference call and it's underthrown. Like, it would have been nice to find something else, but there was pressure and all that sort of stuff.
Don't throw the ball in double coverage.
No.
Don't try to draw
Yeah.
a penalty in double coverage.
Even a Sutton?
No.
Even with pressure bearing down? I go, okay.
No.
Um,
I love the second one, though.
Yeah.
And,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
don't mind the call on the first one, but I just think as a quarterback, even if the deep shot is called and it's double
Yes.
coverage, you don't throw it.
Yes.
Because what if
Okay.
that's picked off? The first
Yeah.
play of
It's
the
terrible.
game?
Yeah, it's
yeah.
over.
Yeah. I mean, it just comes down to the fact that Sutton couldn't bring that ball in, which is tough because that's the exact kind of catch that he makes over and over and over again. And, like, you can't expect him to make it every time. Like, that's obviously a tough play, but that is kind of like his strength is that particular catch where it's out in front and he boxes the guy out a little bit. And then to not get the PI on the Marvin Mims play, I mean, that's both of those just really sting and are drive killers early on. But for the play calling, I liked it. It was definitely pass heavy, but they got guys open, so you can't not like the calls.
And I agree with you. It was pass heavy. And what's crazy is at the end of the day, they still ran the ball more than they passed, just to show you that the Broncos aren't looking for balance on offense. They're looking to be like a dominant run-first team. And we're going to continue to break this down. We got one more super chat, actually. This comes in from Lawyer D. Says, I've watched Russ since 2013, and I live in Seattle. You have to take the good with the bad, Russ. He's always been this way. We're still in it, and there's no doubt that the Broncos are still in it, and we're actually going to really dive into where the Broncos are and how much they are still in it tomorrow and moving forward as must win against the Chargers. We're going to talk about that, talk about just how big these games are moving forward. We're not able to get to the comments on the website, but want to give a shout out to Moogie94, Bigwood54, Arvada Luke, and our guy Litvatsky. Leave those comments on tomorrow's pod, and we will try to get to them. Thank you all so much for rolling with us today. We will see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. on the DNVR Broncos podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.